Hello, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our latest Career Paths webinar series. Today we'll be talking about becoming a pilot. Whether you have been to our previous webinars or not, you may know that this webinar series is all about inspiring young people, inspiring those who are at the start of their career, potentially considering a change in their career, to look into future flight and look at it as an industry that isn't just full of opportunities, but that is full of opportunities for you. And so we're absolutely delighted to be putting a drone pilot as a potential career that some of you may consider going into in the future. And for that, we have invited three incredible speakers to help us learn more about their journey and learn more about their life and the life of a drone pilot. And of course, I'm not doing it on my own. I'm here joined by our team as well, who will be helping to moderate the discussion for today's session. So hopefully that sounds like a bit of a plan and a bit of an introduction to the session. Very briefly about myself and very briefly about FlightCrowd. If you're here for the first time, I'm Maria. I'm the founder of FlightCrowd, and it is my privilege to be leading our not-for-profit. I built FlightCrowd as on the back of my aerospace engineering degree and my background in the future flight sector. And I'm very, very passionate about making sure that we create opportunities for, especially for young people, to enter the sector that I so deeply love. And so FlightCrowd, full of opportunities, full of incredible programs and outreach events and incredible people who shape the future of skies. But more than anything, we're here to help expand that incredible ecosystem and make sure that everybody who wants to shape the future of skies has the support and the opportunities available. So welcome to our third webinar. I think it is third, on talking about career paths, focusing on drone pilots, and that's a bit about who we are and why we're doing it. Enough about me, enough about Flightra. Can I come back to all of you guys? Our audience, let's see how interactive you are. Let's see if you can find the chat button and if you can find all sorts of different reactions and emojis. We definitely want to make this session interactive. Please put in the chat where are you in your career journey. We'll likely have quite a few people at the start of their career, maybe somebody who's considering a career move, but let us know in the chat so we can tailor the content of today's presentations, but also tailor our discussion to make sure that we are pitching it at the right level. Let us know, are you guys in school, college, looking for opportunities, university, recent graduates? Maybe maybe you're already working professional. Let us know. Hi, Nathan. I've got Nathan, who is at the start of their career, having graduated in aerospace engineering. Hello, welcome, welcome. So we've got an aerospace engineering graduate. That's great. We've got university students, but wanting to do drone GVC separately. Oh, we've got some people who are very much certain that drones is definitely a career for them. That's fantastic. Welcome. We've got somebody else who's studying at university at the moment, but looking at options for starting their career after. Okay, so we've got loads of university students. Brilliant, brilliant. Anybody from college? Anybody from school? Anybody currently in school? Or are we slightly more university side? Hmm. Um, I can see. No, I think primarily university. Hopefully, this is very useful for our speakers as well. If you haven't already put something in the chat, please do. And in the meantime, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Rogdan to share a bit about what the plan for today's session is, and then finally go to our speakers. Rogdan, over to you.
Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone, and welcome again. My name is Jordan. A bit about myself. I'm a training volunteer at FlightCrowd, joined last year. Recently have completed my MSc in Aviation Management, and my professional background is in the logistics sector, currently working as a coordinator. And after completing my MSc, I'm actually looking for opportunities to embark the aviation sector. That's about me. To cover today's agenda, firstly, the welcome and introduction, which we already covered with Maria. Now we'll be moving to our speakers presentation, where our speakers will shortly introduce themselves and will talk about their career journey and any projects they're currently working on and or what they're doing. Then we'll move to the panel discussion, which is the main part of our webinar today and core element. We'll be discussing different themes and questions about how to get into the drone pilot industry, what the obstacle opportunities exist, and different pathways available. After this, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session and closing remarks. Anyway, please free to drop your questions in the chat throughout the session, and we'll pick up them later on and answer. Maria, next slide, please. We have a fantastic panel and panelists lined up today. We'll start with our speaker's introduction. I would like to introduce Jack, our first speaker. He's an international drone racing pilot and a reigning British champion with over a decade of experience flying and building drones. Currently in the final year of his undergraduate degree in robotics and embedded systems engineer. Jack's experience spans software and hardware design, team management, and cinematography. Jack, over to you.
Yeah, so hello, my name's Jack. I'm actually in a very similar situation to most of you as a university student. So I've got less than a month to go. I'm looking forward to being done. But yeah, my industry experience comes from racing, basically. So it's not what I do full time, but I've been able to have a range of different roles in the industry that hopefully can, yeah, give you a perspective on something a little bit different, something you may not have looked at before. If you want to move the slide on. There we go. So this is um, the base of my journey, really. So I started in 2013, back when I was 9 years old. You can see the picture there in the top right. Yeah, just the model helicopter. It was just something I did for fun. Um, just it was a birthday present. I really enjoyed it, and that was supported by a neighbour I had who was really into model flying, kind of RC planes and helicopters and that kind of thing. And then in 2016, I tried an FPV drone for the first time, which they were pretty new. You can see there in that middle picture the sort of thing I started on. That is it's something called a Hubsan X4, so it's quite literally a toy drone, and it's got a tiny camera hot glued on the top. The aerial's held up with a like just a lollipop stick, and is wired in. So yeah, it's come a long way since then. And then I just did that as a hobby. You can see there also on the middle row, an early drone build. That was my first open class drone. Um, Fortunately, they've got much simpler than then. So if you want to get into drone engineering, it's well, it can be that complicated now, but so many things have been simplified. It's great. So yeah, after 5 years of just doing that as a hobby, I just meet up with friends and go fly with them. I then did I started doing simulator competitions, and amazingly, I was not expecting it at all. I got picked up by a team, X-Blaze Racing, who were the team I supported when I was a child. They just won a world championship again, and that was crazy for me. So they then supported me, starting in UK races and competing more and more. Yeah, so then I got to compete for them online, got to compete for them in the UK, and then 2 years down the line, I was looking at moving teams actually, and I got a message off my manager just saying, "Can we have a call? I might have an opportunity for you." Um, yeah, they wanted me in the team management position, which was great. So more pilot scouting, roster decisions, just supporting people, and that was really great. So I took a step back from racing for a bit, which then changed last year basically. Um, I got asked if I was interested in joining a new team, joined them, got to go overseas, I think 3 times for different competitions, and then went and won the British Championship, which was just incredible. So you can see there at the bottom, that was an event in Abu Dhabi I got to go to. Yeah, it's just been an incredible journey from, thank you, starting to then, yeah, getting to compete internationally, meet all these amazing industry professionals, and just see what it's like at the top level. Yeah, so the next slide. Cool. So this is what I'm working on now. So my degree's done less than a month. You can see top right is a little bit of what I'm working on at the moment. That's just a robot in simulation. I'm trying to dock it at a desk, which is a hard challenge. But yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Then I've been made team captain for this year, so I've gone from pilot, manager, back to normal pilot, and now I'm a captain. But that's been great getting to do more of what I used to do and a bit of analysing data and scouting pilots again. So we'll see how that goes this year. I'd love to defend the British title. So you can see that's my latest drone build in the bottom right corner that I've been gradually refining, gradually building and changing. Yeah, always upgrades to make and things to experiment with. And Menace RC is an organisation supporting me, so I'm getting to test with them. Volunteering Flight Crowd, so doing calls like this. I believe I'm doing another webinar soonish and help with STEM outreach programs and that kind of thing. And yeah, just all sorts of other drone-based projects. I'm doing some coaching at the moment. Um, that kind of thing. Done a bit of cinematography as well, as was mentioned earlier. So starting to get involved with just some basic filming projects and FPV filming. So yeah, that's a bit of background on me. I believe we're over to the next person now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jack, for sharing your journey with us. That sounds really interesting. Now I'd like to move to our next speaker, Guy Maalouf. Guy is a PhD candidate at University of Southern Denmark, where his research focuses on enabling safe and scalable operations, drone operations of beyond visual line of sight. Throughout the EU-funded project WildDrone, he has led and contributed to extensive field on operations in Kenya, gaining practical insights into the challenges of deploying drones for actually wildlife conservations, and which is something he is very passionate about. Alongside with this, he's supporting the next generations of drone professionals entering this field. Guy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you or have you on the call. Maria, could I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So I only have one slide for you guys, but that's a quick overview of my journey with drones so far. So I actually started before 2016. I started by building like racing drones and FPV drones when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, just for a hobby. Then decided to do a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Computer Engineering and had a chance to work on a drone delivery project for my final year project for my Bachelor. And then I moved to the UK, did my master's at the University of Bristol, where I worked on a modular drone system that you can see in the pictures. Basically, it's this hexagonal shaped drone, which is supposed to be able to fly and reconnect mid-flight. So I worked for that for my master's, and then I had the chance to work in many different things for a year after my master's. So I joined a really cool program in London called Entrepreneur First, where they bring together people that are interested in entrepreneurship together to try to found a startup. And I was trying to work on a startup where we're trying to use drones for offshore oil and gas methane emissions. To monitor the methane emissions, basically. I also worked for a bit as a research assistant at the University of Bristol. I worked as a regulatory lead at Iona. Iona is a drone delivery startup based in Cranfield. Looked up, quite cool startup. And I also had the chance to work for a Juno, which is a drone slash tech consultancy, which also helped me gain a lot of experience. But then the highlight of my career has to be what I've been doing for the last 3 years. So I've moved to Denmark to do a PhD in safe and scalable beyond visual line of sight operations of drones. But basically, it's how can we reconcile safety and regulations with technology and operations. But the coolest thing about this PhD is that I had the chance to go to really cool places. So in January this year, I was in Guatemala monitoring volcanoes using drones. And then in February, it was my third time in Kenya, where we went and flew more than 30 drones across the savannah to monitor kind of like cool animals, rhinos, zebras, giraffes, lions. So to be honest, I never expected that drones could take me into such cool places. So yeah, if you're wondering if you should do anything related to drones, this is your call to do it, because drones are really, really cool. And yeah, I don't have much else. If you're interested, there's my QR code to my LinkedIn. You can connect with me, ask me any questions you may have regarding drones, drone regulations, drone technology, anything. I'm more than happy to help you, guide you. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Guy. That was really fascinating, and especially hearing about your work in the WildDrone project in Kenya, which is something I think the audience will find it very inspirational.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Now I would like to move to our third speaker, Zara. Zara has completed a 2-year degree apprenticeship before becoming a CAD technician and moving into the world of drones as a main drone pilot at the age of 20 years old. She is focusing on all aspects of drone operations, from being trained on new platforms to learning new regulations and beyond. Zara, over to you.
Hi everyone. Gosh, it's gonna be really tough to follow because everyone's done so many cool things. So yeah, hi, my name is Zara McGregor. I'm a chief UAS pilot at Plowman Craven, which is a big survey company. That's where my whole career sort of sprung from. So can I have the next slide, please? Okay, pictures of me. So the top left is when I first started out. So I'll read my bullet points first. So I got to where I am today only needing a maths and English GCSE. I didn't go to university. I studied at A level, maths, physics, and Spanish. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I thought, I'm not sure university is for me because I feel like I'm just going to waste my time picking a degree that I'm not fully backing myself and then let my parents down, let myself down. I didn't want to do that. So I was lucky enough to get some summer work experience at this company that did railway surveying, because I thought maths and physics, they do 3D models. I thought this looks kind of interesting. And off the back of that, they offered me a 2-year degree apprenticeship. So I thought, why not earn and learn and get a qualification? So yeah, I did a geospatial technician degree apprenticeship at Dudley College, which was the equivalent to an A level. So that was 2 years. It was 9 blocks of like 2 to 3 weeks of studying at a time. So it'd be nice. I'd learn a bit. I'd go back to site. I'd put my skills into practice, learning all about satellites and total stations and like traditional methods of land surveying and how we've come along to like using 3D scanners or using drones. But I was not droning at this point. After that, I then moved to be a CAD tech. So again, sort of the mathsy architectural side of things. I was drawing up building floor plans and elevations. And I thought this is really cool. And that was where they said, we've got a drone like for you to start using if you would like, because I'd expressed that I'd always been into PlayStation. I got my own drone because I like photography. So that bottom picture there, excuse me, is a picture of some stingrays. I took my drone with me to Antigua. So I tried to bring it with me to as many countries as possible where it's not going to be a complete faff. So yeah, top left, me at the start. Top right, that's me using a drone that's a fixed wing, but it's facing the other way, so you can't really see the wings. And then the bottom right was me at my previous role. We did a lot of work on substations. And I suppose the question that made me choose my profession, I never chose this. I just fell into it. I made my own opportunities and just carried on with this. So yeah, next slide, please. Okay, here we have some cool pictures. So cool projects I've been a part of. Whilst working at this company as a chief pilot, I've been lucky enough to be able to fly that cage drone, which is an Helios 3. It's got LiDAR scanning on the top. So as it flies, it's building a point cloud and it's knitting things together. And when you process all that data on the software, you can pick exactly what point you were flying at and see the exact video feed. So for that one, I was somewhere under Hyde Park Station in London, if anyone knows that place, in a shaft, because part of all the dust that had been sat there for years had started to leak through to a hotel nearby. And obviously, if you're paying London price for a hotel, nobody wants dirt in their room. So we used that. We took it up. Usually methods would like to find this out would be like using scaffolding and putting people at risk, like working from height. So with this, it was just like a couple of 6-minute flights. We were able to go up and locate the exact issue, and it was just a hole in the roof. So nice and easy. I saved TfL a lot of money there. Then those middle pictures of those gas cylinders, I, at my previous role, used to do a like a repeat construction flight. So by taking loads of pictures with big drones and good cameras, you're able to create a 3D model called a point cloud. Some of you may already know what that is. And there you can take real life measurements from, so people can monitor their building and site work as it grows. And then at the bottom there, a very squished picture of a drone, but I've done a lot of surveys using LiDAR, so the laser, picking up the sagging points of pylons for National Grid, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, working at Plowman Craven. So Plowman Craven have a lot of different ways to enter, like through grad schemes, through coming up from going to university and studying like, I don't know, geography and survey. There are certain surveying ones you can do, but as I said, I've not been to university, so I don't know the exact route you can come in. But it just goes to show that there is no one size fits all. So you can come in at whatever level from whatever background. I think for me, it was based on like the experience that I've had and the exposure that I had just by like saying, yes, I do want to do this. Yes, I'd love to try that. So if you're a go-getter, yes, this is the career for you. I think it's very fun. I joined in this role in May 2025 as Chief UAS Pilot. So just coming up to a year, I'm having an absolute great time. So yes, like I said there again on my bullet point, create your own opportunities, say yes to things. And you never know, you could be working with me in a tunnel. That's it.
Thank you very much, Zara. That sounds really fantastic. I think for our discussion, your insights, especially from the technical side, will be very useful. And you're already a great example of how you can get into the industry, not using the traditional pathway. Let's say you're getting the degree, then you're starting your work. Thank you very much again. At this point, I would like to move to the panel discussion. Thank you all very much to our all speakers. It's been brilliant to hear about your journeys, and we would now like to dive a bit deeper into a couple of great topics which you already touched upon. We'll now go into a moderated discussion, and to our audience, please make sure you drop your questions in the chat so we can cover them too. We'll start with our first theme of our panel's discussion, and you've all shared how you got into the drone pilot's operations. You've all had different journeys, but was there a turning point when you decided to pursue a career in the drone sector seriously? When was this turning point, or if you had any critical moment when you decided I would like to pursue my career and become a drone pilot? Jack, if you'd like, I can start with you.
Yeah, can do.
Yeah.
I think for me, I mean, when I first started flying drones, I wasn't thinking about careers really. It was just, I was a kid, it was something I did for fun. I think a massive turning point for me was that email from X-Blaze saying we want to consider you and that cool. Like I went from just casually flying a drone to suddenly, the best team in the world at the
Yeah.
time interested in me. That was such a massive change. I remember suddenly, it was also the week after I finished my GCSEs. So suddenly that was like, wow, okay, this could be something bigger in the future.
Yeah, that's a great example when everything light up, and also you created from the hobby your actually co-occupation, and the thing which you've been passionate about, you've been able to convert it into your job. Yeah, it's really cool. Guy, if you'd like to share from how it looks from your side.
Yeah, of course. Actually, I think from my point of view is actually a bit silly. I was always really big on like robotics and stuff. And then at some point when I was young, I saw that for Black Friday, there was really cool, like really good deal on getting a propulsion system for drones. I was like, oh, that would be a super cool project. So I built my first drone, and that's how I got into it. But I had a major turning point. So for my final year project for my bachelor, I worked on a drone delivery system because I was a bit naive back then. I was like, yeah, if I build a system like that, then I can start to do deliveries everywhere and stuff. And then fast forward like 2 years, when I finished my master's in Bristol, I had realized that the challenge is not really building the drones. It's really like integrating drones in society. You have like regulations, you have politics involved, you have economy, like economics and stuff. And it's such an interesting, multifaceted challenge. And then I was like, okay, I want to dive deeper into that, which is why I did all kinds of different jobs. Like I was working at a consultancy, at a startup, and I'm doing my PhD so that I can really get this full picture of the challenge of getting drones, let's say, more integrated in society. So yes, it's a really cool challenge and a really cool industry.
Yeah, and I would say it's probably in your case a mix of decisions which led you to choose. Yeah, it's not like a single moment or yeah, as you said. Thank you very much. Uh, Zara, if you don't mind, you will share your point of view.
So my turning point was when I did that summer experience and they showed me that they used drones on the railway, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool, because the drone was massive and the camera looked awesome. And like I said previously, like I'd always been into like PlayStations, so they actually did let me fly the drone around the field once, and they were like, oh yeah, like it's very natural to you. And I was like, yeah, well, I've been training by accident all this moment since I was young. And then I guess with the railway, towards the end, when I moved to a different company, I thought, oh, maybe that's sort of like left it behind there. But I think the next turning point was, yeah, being offered to like be put through the GVC course and doing it and becoming like the main drone pilot for like all the offices around the UK. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I want to continue doing this. So yeah, I guess I had two little epiphanies. So
Yeah, that's really cool. And basically, in your case, it happened accidentally.
yeah,
Probably, yeah, you didn't expect. And maybe if they didn't offer, you wouldn't most likely, yeah, pursue. Yeah,
exactly. Who knows? It's just right place, right time, and just enthusiastic, and thought, yeah, cool, I'll
yeah,
do that.
yeah. That's really cool. And to hear from all of you, you have very diverse, I would say, journeys how you came into this, and uh, really interesting to hear from all of you. At this point, I'd like to move to our second theme, which is about the job reality. From your experience, what does being a drone pilot actually involve behind the scenes, and what parts of your job are something that people don't expect? Yeah.
I can
So,
start if you
yeah,
want.
sure.
Happy to share. Well, one thing I didn't expect is that being a drone pilot can take you into so many cool places. Like as I said, like this year alone, I've had a chance to go to Guatemala and Kenya. So this is the really cool and exciting part, but the much less exciting part, which, well, it depends. For me, I find it really exciting because I think it's very impactful. But a lot of the work I do is really working on the permits, talking to governments to be able to sort out how we can get drones into the country, then how can we get the permits to fly those drones. So there's a lot of collaboration with governments. There's a lot of making checklists, training our team, making sure that we have the right personnel to do the maintenance on the drone. So there's so many things that happen in the background before you even get your drone to take off and fly. And yeah, there's something for everyone basically in the drone industry.
Yeah, that's really cool. So a lot of technical aspects, and I believe Zara, in your case, is very similar. So flying
Yeah,
a drone is only the small part of
exactly.
whole
I
operation. Yeah,
say I agree with a lot of stuff he's just said. Yeah, all to do with the laws and the compliance and the maintaining the kit and the systems behind all of that. The flying, really, yeah, it's just a tiny part of it. Everything else, you have to do all your planning, your risk assessments, your airspace regulations, your permissions from the client. TfL, for example, have their own template of how you should put all your information in. So there is a lot of admin that goes with it. But I quite like that. I love a bit of a a desk and then a site. You know, you get a lot of variation with that. Yeah, I guess the paperwork behind it, because a lot of people, and certainly in the industry, which paints us all in a bad picture, those people that just buy one and fly it and don't care and just take a picture, and it really grates me because then it paints, like I said, us all in a bad picture. And yeah, there's just a bit more to it than that. So
Yeah, and every time different work environment, which is also very cool. Jack, in your case, I would like to ask you, as you are the international racing drone pilot, so it's very, would say, narrow niche in drone piloting. And personally, I didn't know that much about this sector of racing pilots, so I started to look through how you execute the mission, actually everything about the process. What is the biggest challenge? What is the most challenging part of your job?
It's a really good question. I think honestly, it's the mental side of things. Like, if you've seen drone racing and the open class stuff, the speed is insane on them.
Yeah.
Like, to rock up to a start line with knowing people are watching you and just perform and not crash is really hard. And I've messed that up many, many times as well.
Yeah, and I can imagine only how many drones you broke. And yeah,
Yeah.
basically that's the inevitable part, I think, for everyone who is a drone racing pilot. Yeah, that was really interesting to hear from you all. What was actually has been the most rewarding project for all you so far at the moment? Zara, if you'd like to share with us, probably.
yeah, there's one that springs to mind at the minute. We did a rewilding project for a charity, where we flew and produced like a point cloud, gave them an author mosaic, so like Google Earth, where all the pictures are stitched together really nicely, in order for like the natural bend and flow of the river to be restored, which I thought was really nice, and like bringing back like the hedgehogs and all the little creatures that have been kicked out by other things. So I actually really like that because I love nature. So that one comes to mind. And to be honest, not a lot else does, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, that's mine.
Yeah. That's really great, and especially as you said, capturing the nature. And also in gear, I watched a couple of YouTube videos on WildDrone project. So it looks like very fantastic, as I found, especially when you how do you execute, plan the mission. What you can say overall about your projects you've done before, not only at WildDrone, what was the most rewarding for you?
Interesting question. Well, to be honest, I think like for me to make, because since I'm mostly working on like the regulations and operation side of things, the second time I went to Kenya, so the first time I went with a group of 7 people, we were just like testing the waters. The second time we went down, it was a group of 30 people. We had 5 teams operating at the same time. We had like 14 drones. And then the last time we had like 40 people, 30 drones, and 8 teams operating at the same time. And then at the end of each trip, we took like a whole group picture. And I don't know, for me, this is really the highlight of like looking that thanks to the work I put in, and because it takes like around 6 months to get like all the import permits and all the operational permits to fly in Kenya. So it really, yeah, it's a very emotional moment for me to see that actually all my work paid off, and I managed to enable all those people to carry all sorts of like really cool science, conservation projects, even like cutting edge drone stuff. Like last time when we went in February, we had like people using even like implementing LLMs. So, you know, like how you talk to ChatGPT and stuff, but basically you open the mic and you talk to your computer and you like send a drone to scan this area in the conservancy to look for a rhino, and then it automatically programs the drone and sends the drone, dispatches it, and then it's like mid-flight, it's like, oh, can you have a closer look to these bushes? And it reroutes the drone. And it's like all this like cutting edge technology, and I'm like, because it can be very, let's say, draining working on permits for 6 months, and it's really nice in the end to see that it actually paid off and I enabled so many cool stuff to happen.
Yeah, the journey is too long. I
Yeah.
can only imagine. Yeah, I
That's
would
very
like
cool.
to touch on the question we have in the chat from Ariza, and he actually has two questions for Jack. Do you think your degree is worth it in comparison to other things you've achieved in your career? That's the first question. And the second one, also, do you recommend any scholarships for getting into drone industry besides Air League?
Yeah, so no, both really interesting questions. The first one is one I've unfortunately thought too much about. That one hits. I mean, yeah, when I start, I guess as a start, like I don't. This isn't what I do full time as a racing pilot. Like, yeah, I get all these opportunities and I do get paid for bits. I don't earn enough for a full salary, right? I cannot sustain it full time. So, in many ways, the degree is worth it. I think having done a software based degree that had much more value when I started it than it seems to at the moment. It's a very difficult job market, and it I don't know at this point. Basically, as someone who's exploring what's next in career options, I'm not sure. Having the degree is really useful, but in job interviews, I get asked about all the other stuff usually. So it's yeah, it's difficult to know. But practical experience is so important at the moment. For scholarships. If I do know, if you want to get into aerial sport, there is the Royal Aero Model Club, who does a scholarship every year. Unfortunately, that closed about a month ago, so you'll have to wait a while. I believe there are more. Flight Crowd have great resources on that. And if you have any other questions on the degree or drone piloting, I don't know, both have value. It's really difficult.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Thank you. And Gia and Zara, do you know probably you any fundings or scholarships currently ongoing to enter the drone sector?
Drones specifically at the minute, me personally, I don't know. I only know the path that I've really chosen, apart from like post-uni people as well, who have done something to do with geography, something to do with the lay of the land. So yeah, there are different ways to come in, but specifics, I just know that Dudley College, a really good one to recommend. It's in Birmingham, and I'm sure they're doing another one in London where they're opening up more opportunities like that, but I'd have to check.
Sure, definitely. All right, at this point, I would like to move to our third theme. It's about the skills and development and should be very interesting and relevant on this today's webinar to our audience. The question, from your perspective, what skills would be crucial to develop for somebody just entering the drone sector? Zara, if you'd like, can start with you.
I always say this, and it's going to be the same when we take on new drone pilots. If you can play GTA and you can you can use your thumbs like that and you're spatially aware, you're fine. You'll be absolutely fine. I have full faith. It's definitely like the PlayStation or Xbox generation that have the upper hand for sure. Not to say that you can't learn this if you still find it really interesting and you're like you haven't had a chance to. I'm not saying you've not got time. You've got plenty of time, but yeah, that would be my point.
And what do you think actually most skills people underestimate or overlook?
I think you can get too cocky, really, with it. And from mistakes in the past that I've made, like assuming other people think the same as you on site, they do not. So yeah, I mean, Jack will definitely say this, but yeah, you got to have a crash or two for you to be able to be like, aha, learn from my mistake. Obviously, it's all safe and cool, but yeah, something's got to happen to you to just reality check yourself and think, hang on a minute, yeah, they are like mini nine. Let me just let me take my time.
Yeah. Jack, what you can share from your perspective, from your point of view.
I think
So,
I definitely underestimated the technical side of it and how much I've had to learn. And as you get deeper and deeper, I mean, you can build a racing drone that flies great from, a simple YouTube tutorial, but as you go deeper, there's so much in the tuning and deciding what hardware to pick. You've got to learn um, about, something like PID tuning and the maths behind it and all the different filtering techniques, as well as, why would I use this metal in my motor over that metal in my motor? I don't know. But having gone further into it, there's so much technical knowledge and there's always more and more. Um, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, technical knowledge is also always the foundation, I believe, and especially for this sector of drone operations. Guy, what would you recommend to somebody in general? What will be the best for them if to start with nowadays? Our new, I would say, current reality on this market. What would you recommend for someone to start with as a starting point to enter this sector?
Well, I would say it really depends on what the person is interested in. Because, for
Yeah.
example, what Jack was describing is something I definitely relate to. Like I'm an engineer by background, and I got into the whole industry by building my own racing drone. So if someone is into, let's say, the more technical side of things, definitely try to find a really good deal on Black Friday and build yourself like the any kind of drone you can. You need to get some smoke, burn some components to learn like the technical side of things. On the other hand, if you're more like outdoorsy, you want to spend time in nature, maybe follow Zara's path, then maybe try to find a simulator on your computer and learn how to fly it. Otherwise, if you want something different, more operational, more well, the kind of stuff I do, which to be honest, I feel like there's a very big shortage of this kind of skill in the industry, and it's not in any way me trying to show off, but I think like it's a good thing because I always feel I'm in high demand. If you take the time to actually learn like the regulations, it's like it's a boring topic, but it's a great topic to know because it's boring. No one wants to learn it, and it's really easy. Like everything is online, it's easily available, and honestly, we've got ChatGPT and AI now. Like you just type in a prompt and like, I want to learn this. Can you teach me? And then it will give you all the foundations. But when you go to a company or anywhere really, and in the drone industry, and you're like, I know regulations, it will open so many doors to you. At least it did for me. So if you want to dive more into this like holistic side of things and how can I help the whole industry move forward, then regulations is definitely a really good way to go. But again, it really depends on each person's like personal interests. If you're really technical, there's no point in going into regulations. You're gonna get bored, and yeah, it's not gonna be for you.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, building on that, I would like to move directly to our fourth theme because it's about how to get started into this industry. And actually, the question is, if someone is genuinely passionate about this field today, what will be the most effective way to get started? You've talked, Guy, about the skills and I mean the knowledge from the regulation side, and also, Jack, you've talked about the technical foundation. But if we'll talk about the most effective way to start, what this will be in your point of view, whether that will be the degree or apprenticeship or just work experience, or that really depends on what the person would like to pursue. Jack,
Uh,
if you'd like to share on this.
Can do, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think if you're interested in drones, like just showing that interest something, so having some experience of I've built my own drone as me and Guy started with, right, is really helps show someone, or just learning how to pilot, so getting a simulator, as was mentioned earlier as well. You can find free ones as well, or even a great way to do it. I mean, GTA was mentioned. You can get a free GTA mod or a Minecraft mod and just go fly a drone around those worlds, and that's a lot of fun. But just, I guess, do something. Depends where you are in your career, but do something to show you're passionate about it. Um, yeah, and then there are
Yeah.
degrees and you get practical experience as well. There's a few routes there.
Yeah. Yeah, and often as a lot of people say that passion beats skills. And at this, I would like to ask Zara actually a question about, um, from your perspective, what makes someone stand out when trying to enter this sector? What is the probably specific skills or anything specific?
I was
Yeah.
going to say passion, 100% enthusiasm, and the like strive to do better each time, because you can do in my industry, like you can do a job and make it really quick, or you can take all day on it, and not one way is correct. There's loads of different methods to get the same outcome, but there have been so many pilots that I've been with where I'm like, oh, you do that differently, or they've learned off me. So I think, yeah, just being really open and taking accountability that sometimes the way that you're doing it might not be the correct way, or like the easiest way, like you can make your life easier. Yeah, that kind of thing. I look for like an open person, I guess, because if you're too shut off, then you're clearly not wanting to spread your passion or like I don't know. I feel like there's some drone sort of jobs that I guess are quite good if you're just solo, but in the survey industry, you tend to blend with a lot of different teams, so you need to be a bit more of a people person, I think.
Yeah, it's really good. Guy, do you agree on that? And also, what do you think will be the hardest part actually to get in from your perspective?
Well, I totally agree with that, first of
Yeah,
all. From experience, from talking to friends, etc. And to be honest, this is more of an advice for any industry you want to go in, especially when, like in the early days, if you just finish school, if you just finish university, the reality is the job market is really tough and it's hard
yeah,
to find. A lot of people struggle to find jobs. Some of the people are very lucky and they find a job. I can tell you from my experience, after my master's, I applied for 150 jobs. I got 3 interviews, and then I didn't get any job offer. Then I got onto the Entrepreneur First program, and within 3 months, I more than doubled my LinkedIn network, and I was really active on LinkedIn, sharing what we were doing. And then afterwards, I just posted one post on LinkedIn saying, like, yeah, I finished Entrepreneur First. I'm looking for a job now, and I got 3 job offers. And my advice for people, whether they want to get into the industry, whether they're just like exploring, they want to know, like they're curious. Honestly, the best thing you can do is just to reach out to people, send them a message, be like, hey, I've seen what you're doing. It sounds interesting. Would love to jump on a call. I know it sounds really scary at first, but there are 2 things that can happen. Either the person is busy, or maybe they're like, I don't know, mean or something, and they don't reply to you. Fair enough, but you don't know them, and you're probably never gonna meet them, so you don't lose much. And then the other side of the coin is the person ends up being nice, and you have a lovely chat, you learn something, and you never know how this contact might open doors, connect you to something. Like it's always nice to have a chat. I love talking to people. I'm always trying to reach out to people just to see what they're up to, and it opens so many doors. So my advice is really don't be shy to reach out to people. A lot of people are actually really keen to help others.
yeah. Yeah, very importantly, show up. Doesn't necessarily that will lead you to some result in the short term, but if you'll keep this consistency, this might and most likely will lead you to something. I have actually we have a question to all of you from Ariza to everyone. He's asking, how or at which point did you realize that you are in the right industry and the career fits you well?
God, I don't even know if the career does fit me well.
Yeah.
Like I've only just started. I think that's a really tough one, because who's to say where drones go as well in the next, like, I was going to say 10 years, but 5 years, so much has changed. So it might get way more stricter and not as fun, or it might get opened. I'm hoping it's the last part. Yeah, that's such a great question. I was just going to also quickly double down on what Guy said about the LinkedIn thing, just really quickly. Sorry. Yeah, I commented on someone's video once about them using a massive agricultural DJI AgRas drone, which is like the size of me, can carry 100 liters, and I went, wow, that looks really cool. Would love to see that in person. And fast forward to a month later, they invited me to their vineyard to actually fly it, and it was absolutely incredible. So yeah, the opportunities are there. You just can't be shy. So put yourself out there. Sorry, that was off topic, but definitely do that.
Anyone, Guy or Jack, if you would like to share something or answer on Ari's question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have a slightly different angle to the thing because instead of waiting and seeing where the industry goes, I like to go from a much more aggressive approach and be like, let's go all in and try to shape the industry ourselves. So I'm trying my best to make it as open and accessible as I can. And I think like it's something like anyone can do. Like if you get involved in the regulations or any challenge really, there are always like people want problem solvers and people that are going to advance the industry. But one small, maybe slightly more philosophical thing, because the question was, how do you know you're in the right industry? And again, taking a step back, in general, there's this quote that I really love, and I think it's useful to keep in mind. Whenever you're trying to like make a decision, people like really get stuck. Like, is this the right decision, etc. And there's this quote I love. It says, "Don't try to make the right decision, make the decision right." And the thing is, like, there isn't really a right or wrong. Like many times, there might be like a choice between two things, and both of them might be relatively similar and equally good. And it's really about like convincing yourself that, okay, I'm going to pick this decision and move forward with it. And if you're interested in the drone industry, go in it. The worst thing that can happen is you end up realizing it's not like you don't like it. You can always change. Life is like has many opportunities, and don't worry, you're not gonna get stuck in there. You're gonna learn many things, and a lot of the skills you learn here can probably be used. So don't be scared of picking one industry. Life you'll have lots of time to change your mind later. Don't worry.
Perfect, perfect. Very great answer. At this point, I would like to wrap up and finish and move to final question to all of you. What will be one piece of advice you would give your younger self? It's not an easy question, definitely.
Based on experience, don't let older people tell you that you can't do that. I think some people are a bit intimidated when people come into a workplace, they're full of passion, full of enthusiasm, and they're like, that won't last long, or they're quite negative, but I haven't changed. So yeah, don't let that squash you.
And probably surround yourself with people who will support you and share the same interest.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's loads of things I'd be like, oh, you need this technical knowledge now, or you're flying these lines terribly, or you need this better technique and stuff. But I guess the main thing would just be enjoy it, and also, as Aaron said, have enthusiasm and back yourself. Like, I've achieved so much more than that, 11-year-old with his first drone ever thought I would, right? And just, yeah, if you stick with something, you never know where it's going to take you. So actually have some confidence that, you can achieve things.
If I can add last a small piece of advice, I would say it's really kind of like fake it till you make it, and like really get outside of the comfort zone, because like the times I've grown the most and I've learned the most and had most opportunities show up were when I was in a room where I felt like really shy and I was like, what am I doing here? Like I really had like a really strong imposter syndrome. But what you don't realize is that you feel the imposter syndrome, other people don't really. And if you go into a room of experts, then you automatically like gain really good contacts, you gain lots of experience, and slowly you move to become an expert yourself as well. So it's really be comfortable being uncomfortable. I think it's really important to constantly seek those uncomfortable situations.
Yes, try to always push yourself out of the comfort zone, bro. Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
brilliant. Yeah, that's really good. At this point, I would like to thank you very much to all our panelists. It's been really an incredible conversation, and now I will hand over to Maria to wrap up and for the closing remarks.
No, thank you so much, Roxanne, and thank you so much to Zara, Guy, and Jack. Round of virtual applause. This has been absolutely brilliant and so insightful and so inspirational. I knew you guys are going to be brilliant, and I really hope that our audience have learned quite a lot from this session. I know we weren't unfortunately able to cover all of the questions. Apologies for this, but thankfully our speakers are absolutely open to connecting with you guys on LinkedIn as well. So make sure to follow them and continue these conversations. And we really hope that this webinar has been a useful opportunity for you to learn about things that are that you may not have necessarily considered, and potentially start thinking about becoming a drone pilot. Well, in fact, before we wrap up, please do share what's one thing that you learned, or one thing that surprised you, one thing that you didn't know, didn't consider before, just to see how, yeah, what kind of highlights do we have? And maybe as an additional little challenge, talking about LinkedIn, I know LinkedIn has been mentioned a lot, maybe that could be a little reflection post that you share on LinkedIn once you view this webinar at the end. Feel free to, again, tag all of us and share that reflection point. Yeah, I can see Nathan saying that it's made him more confident in entering the drone industry. We can see that this was insightful, fantastic team. Please keep sharing it. And again, as was mentioned, absolutely talk about it openly, talk about your progress and talk about your experience. And every time you show up, be loud, be proud, and be visible. Talking about visibility and talking about kind of community and how you can continue learning and continue connecting, please stay in touch with us. We've got so much prepared for you, whether you want to just continue learning about the sector, whether you want to make next steps and tangible next steps into building a career in future flight. We are here. We've got WhatsApp community that's open to all. We've got a membership for those who need to pretty much propel their journey and want to take accelerated steps, but we also have loads and loads of opportunities available in person and virtually. We're certainly global and certainly here for everybody, regardless of where you are in your career stage. Enough about from me. Again, I'm taking over, but I can see that genuinely it's been fantastic. Can see a couple of questions about flight card scholarships as well. I'm happy to take these after the webinar, but for now, let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much to all our speakers. Thank you to our audience. Well done, and thank you. And I hope you have a brilliant rest of your day. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in our future webinars. Thank you all. Take care. Speak soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.